Good evening, friends. Thank you for joining Cademina every evening to follow what's happening in India and abroad. Thank you for sending me your useful comments and suggestions. If you believe in this channel, do hit the like button, share with friends, and spread the message. Our only mission is to bring you the truth and both sides of the story. Thank you for your support. Today, we have a very interesting guest with us, Biswajit Chakravorthy. Welcome.
Thank you, Meena. It's such an honor and privilege to be on your
Yeah.
show. I've always been your admirer as an artist and, as a friend. And thank you for this platform and very grateful.
Yeah. So let me, friends, give you a little brief about Biswajit, who I now know as a friend as well. Biswajit is now the Vice President at AGP Business World and MD of the South India at Hotelier and presently. So now he's had an extensive, tenure in hospitality in some of the best hotels in the Indian subcontinent, like Oberoi, Taj, Accor, and the Leela in both operations as well as sales and marketing. He was responsible for turning around the Movenpick, Bangalore, within 16 months of its uh, start here in Bangalore. And I believe, Biswajit, there are a lot of areas that you've been specialized in. For example, quality operations, RevPAR, and wherever you've gone, you've rebuilt the hotel and made it really very impressive. Tell us, could you start with a little bit about your background, Biswajit?
Sure, Meena. That's a very comprehensive question. Um, you know,
What we'll do is let us start with the background, Biswajit, where you come from and how this became your,
yeah, sure.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm a Bangalorean where I've come back now, in your neighborhood there. And I grew up in Bangalore, studied at Frank Anthony's, Christ University. Eventually, I did go to Cornell, sent by Captain Nair for an advanced hospitality program. But I post-graduated in commerce, and then I got in as a management trainee with the Taj those days. So that's my background, and I'm a simple Bangalorean. But thanks to this industry, I got to travel the world many times over, work across the subcontinent, 3 times in Mumbai, Delhi, Nepal, Kerala, and I finally ended back with my old company Oberoi at the Oberoi Grand, where I was GM until recently. So yeah, I have a diverse background, and I'm a true Indian because I'm by my title you think I'm a Bengali, but I'm half a Sardar. My mom comes from a Sikh family. I've grown up in Bangalore, and I've worked all over the south, so a huge South Indian influence. I've covered north, I've covered east, south, and I've worked thrice in Mumbai, almost for 9 years. And I'm born on the 26th of Jan, the Republic Day, so I consider myself a very privileged Indian with a flavor of the entire subcontinent.
yeah.
So yeah, so I, I'm diverse. I'm not one of those traditional hoteliers. I write poetry. I've been in martial arts. I hold a black belt. I've done a lot of archery. You name it. So I do.
So,
So
Biswajit
I
has
keep
worked.
doing different
His last hotel was
things, and
Sofitel
experiment with
Mumbai,
it.
and before that, it was Oberoi Grand.
Uh,
Yeah, yes,
no.
Biswajit.
The Oberoi Grand was my last hotel. When I went
Last,
back to
yes,
the Oberoi after many years, yeah,
yes, in
last
Calcutta.
assignment was the Oberoi Grand Hotel, Calcutta. I never
So
worked in
before that
Kolkata, so
was,
I finished that assignment as well. I was the area head for Accor at Pullman the Novotel, Delhi. One of the
yeah,
biggest
yeah,
inventories of Accor's 700 rooms between the two, seven. And before that, Sofitel. But I spent a long time there, and I consider Sofitel my
yeah,
baby. It was
yeah,
I came in when it had just barely opened, and I established it. I was very lucky to have that. And prior to that, the Movenpick.
yeah.
This is what
And
I'm
before
talking about
that
in a
also,
general
the
management.
Leela Kempinski Mumbai.
Before that, yeah, I was the first Indian GM of the Leela Kempinski Mumbai, and before that, the Leela Kovalam. So I've been a general manager for almost 17, 18 years, and I've been very lucky that I've had some of the best brands, and I've directly worked with stellar people like Captain Nair, Mr. Pierce over. So that's me and my little puppy when I was young. So
Yeah.
yeah. So
So,
yeah.
in fact, it was at that
Yeah.
time,
So
Biswajit, that I met you. Yeah, I met you in
yes,
Kovalam. That's the first time I met you. And I was really surprised at the way you
yes.
manage the property. because it was so. I didn't even feel that this property is in India. It was so beautifully managed. I was coming in from Dubai, and the kind of class that it had. I mean, thanks to you, because everybody had a very good opinion about you. So it was run very beautifully.
Thank you so much. Coming from you, it means a lot. But yes, I think I must give the credit to the Nair family. It was Captain Nair's vision to that was estate, Kerala, and he acquired the property, and it's an iconic property built by Charles Korea on the sea. I think a lot of you know. So we were delighted, and I was the opening general manager. So we renovated it, and Madhu Nair, who did the interiors, uh, did a fantastic job, and I was lucky to have got the baton to take that property forward. And of course, my team. I had a fabulous team there. It wasn't easy to start off with, but I had to travel extensively all over the globe to get business. Ayurveda groups from Russia and Europe, this, that, and but my team delivered left, right, and center. And I'm happy to tell you that hotel won the best luxury hotel in India, not just among resorts and cities, where I went to receive the award from the Vice President of India, along with Mr. Nair, Vivek Nair, and that was a proud moment. And for personally, when the first Hotelier awards were announced in the country in 2009, out of 50 general managers shortlisted, uh, I was the number one GM for that particular hotel. So it really resonates in my mind. And there, yeah, that picture is when I was getting the award from the vice president then. And I had stellar people like Dr. Abdul Kalam Azad, and you just name it, Richard Branson, all of them was there. That's what a moment this was when I received him. Um, that's of course this is Mr. Sachin Tendulkar at the Sofitel later, but yeah, that's Mr. Branson arriving at Kovalam. It's a great story. So he came at 3 in the morning in his private jet, and I went to the airport to receive him. And he said, "Oh, you're the GM. Why have you come?" I said, "Well, you're Mr. Branson." So I come. So he was laughing, very down to earth human being, and so it was a great privilege spending 3 days with him and looking after him. And he gave me
So
his
there's a question from Sharmila,
biography personally.
Vishwajit, for you.
So,
Sharmila is asking you, how is the
sorry,
market shift during and
your
after
voice.
the pandemic?
Yes, I couldn't hear you
She's
because there was a
Yeah, Sharmila is saying, yeah, how is the market shift during and after the pandemic?
okay. The pandemic has been was very traumatic for hospitality globally because ours is a frontline job. You are on the shop floor. You cannot get away. You can't do things on Zoom. You had to be there, and unfortunately, since everything was put to a standstill, globally, hospitality suffered so badly to the extent there was literally no business other than a few quarantine groups coming in, and a lot of people had to let go, their staff, which was personally for me very traumatic. Although at that time I was the area head for Accor in Delhi between the Pullman and the hotel, and we had 900 odd staff. One thing I must acknowledge, Accor as a French company had a lot more heart. They kept people on rolls and paid them at least 30%, so they didn't let go. But eventually, for a few months, we had to let go a lot of people. So that broke me personally because I consider that I'm only as good as my people, and I had to get these WhatsApps. So I was in a bit of a depression post that. But luckily, when things began bouncing back, we began taking people back. And then I moved on from Accor. Technically, I retired. I had an extension and then rejoined Oberoi for a short while. So yeah. So I think globally, every general manager, every CEO of whether international Indian company and all staff were very badly affected. And you know what happened? A lot of colleagues, staff, then moved to other industries. So the hospitality lost a lot of good people. It's not that they come jumping back when things are fine. A lot of them diversified, went into other industries, and that was a sort of a permanent loss. And a lot of them have not come back. And we've had to train, take people from other walks of life, and even the business streams have altered because with Zoom calls and Microsoft Teams, corporate travel globally has reduced drastically by almost 40%. So the customer, what came back immediately was weddings and a few conferences. and staycations. This word revenge travel, which people coined. A lot of people came, and resorts began doing very well straight away after the pandemic. Then, of course, the second wave came. That jarred things a bit. What a good thing was, hotels in cities developed this home delivery that became a revenue vertical, and a lot of revenue was made there. So a lot of innovation happened. But yeah, so segments altered in terms of revenue coming in and the streams. And suddenly there was a lot of dependence on our partners, the OTAs, Booking.com, etc., who really supported the industry during that period. And the good thing was, I saw the travel trade, whether it's the online travel agents, other travel agents, hoteliers, we all worked in tandem. It was a great synergy at that point of time to and the airlines to survive this mode. And everything depended on the airlines because they flew people back, and as and where they limped back into business. Because hotels are static, you can't move them. Hotel resort, at least airlines can alter routes, and so they were the first ones who began surviving, and they were the lifeblood to feed hotels to take things forward.
In fact,
So yeah, it's been a
friends,
shift, but no shift
see,
in thinking. I feel any other.
yeah. In fact, friends, what I know is about
Sorry.
Bishwajit and his USP is that he used to make his people, his staff, feel around him feel empowered and happy, and he used to foster a creative and inclusive environment among his staff. So this instilled a sense of pride and ownership among his staff. So this was, behind your back, I was doing a bit of research about you. So this is what I
Oh, thank
gathered
you.
from people that
Yeah.
this is something. This was one of your strong points because people, a lot of the times leaders or people who are general managers try to control everything, but you were not doing that. You were actually empowering people and making them work as a team. And because of that, everything went around very efficiently. People had such good opinions about you. Tell me, Bishwajit, was it a very tough job? Because, see, people are very difficult to handle and they've got different natures. How did you manage? I mean, in so many hotels, you build from scratch also. How did you manage people?
Okay, very interesting question, and I think you hit the nail on the head. I strongly believe that we as managers or leaders in any industry are nothing without our people. So there is this famous, thing of PPPP, which is people, product, process, and then profit. If you notice, people comes first, and that is something which has been embedded in my mind from the beginning of my career. And I would work on these four pillars always with people at the helm, which would be all stakeholders, and to satisfy the other stakeholders, whether it is the owners or customers, it was first my own people. And in a hospitality industry which is completely people driven, uh, it was focusing on. So when I walked into any hotel, I'd first interact with my colleagues. I would meet at least 8, 10 of them, back of the house, front of the house, talk to them, inquire how they were, and then I'd get a pulse of how they are feeling. A happy employee makes a happy guest. It's that simple. I mean, there's no two way about it across industry. And whether it's IT or whatever. More so in industry like ours, where it's brick and mortar and people, meeting people. So yes, I focused on my colleagues, and even I had won several awards. And the first thing I said, I meant it from the bottom of my heart that the award was for them. It's unfortunate that they couldn't travel with me and collect it, and so many people can't get onto stage. Being the leader of the ship, I had to pick it up on their behalf. And yeah, besides you recognizing me, the Times, the Indian Express group also recognized, and I got a Game Changer award in 2018, which turning around a lot of hotels. And I mentioned the same thing there, that it's my people. At that point of time, I was at the Sofitel, which resonated very quickly. Within 3 years, it was amongst India's top hotels and led in Mumbai on all parameters. So, and the more I see life, I see empathy. I'm quite spiritual. I'm not religious. I believe in the as you do, so you reap, and I also believe in putting my, getting into someone's shoes whom you're dealing with, whether it's a customer or a colleague. Because when a person walks in, hotels are like a theater, like Walt Disney, where you come in the morning, whatever you have, life at home may not be that good or on financial front or whatever, but you have to put on that smile. So a lot of staff put a lot of pain behind and smile, and and deliver for guests. And you got to understand how they go about it. You got to be empathetic. You got to be there for them when they need you. And the most important thing is you got to be genuine. People are not stupid. They see when a person is not
Yeah.
genuine. A lot of managers I've seen, do lip service, but you got to be genuine. And I think I come from a group of the bit of the old school, the innkeeper general manager, where I believe truly that you have to be on the shop floor. I very rarely sat on my office. I work on my phone as I'm moving on. And in fact, I'm
Yes.
talking to you through my phone. That's why it's not that. All my mails, whatever. I'm pretty savvy on technology, but it's all the phone or a tablet. I don't believe in sitting in a laptop in my office. I don't know. I have my own way of doing things, so I think it's faster and more efficient. As long as I wear my glasses, because I don't want to type the wrong thing in the wrong thing going through. So, so that gives me the opportunity to be with my colleagues, to be with my guests. So after my colleagues, I'd spend about a time meeting 8, 10 guests in the morning across the lobby, breakfast, this, that. And then I knew before I entered the morning meeting where we stood. And then we discussed it. And I think my greatest success in the morning meeting was my morning meetings would be a little longer. It would take 45 minutes, but I'd ask the departmental heads to create a template
Yeah.
of whatever happened the previous day, whether it's numbers, what competition is doing, whether the engineering, the cost of the generator for the night, everything. So they create that, and every department head knows in a transparent fashion what is happening in the hotel. So I would never compartmentalize. I would never divide and rule. I would, take ideas and I'd work in a lot of transparency, and I would expect that to cascade down to
Yeah.
bellboy or doorman, so that everybody knew who the VIPs were, corporate. And I would think, in my opinion, information is key, and information should be transparent. I think that's helped me to be successful.
Biswajit, see, today's, your clients are totally different breed. They are the millennials. So how do you anticipate their needs? And see, they've got a whole different kind of, needs than the previous generation. Being successful in that area is what makes most hoteliers, successful. What were the challenges you faced in this area?
I face no challenges because for me, I just I say they are millennials, but we are perennials. So that's not a statement, but yeah, for me, the Gen Y and Gen Z, I respect them a lot. They are very intelligent. They were literally born with these devices. They have the World Wide Web at their disposal from day one. So I think our generation should find a balance in terms of giving them that respect and learning from them. I've always learned from young people, whether it's the music and I have two kids who are both Gen Y, millennials. One was almost a Gen Z, but just born a year before. So that's the best rehearsal. And so I understand them. My taste in music, besides my jazz and blues, I'm up to date with all the pop and whatever they listen to. My daughter works for the Rolling Stone, and she's one of India's top K-pop experts. So I know exactly what's going on in their world. I take a lot of interest. I read extensively, not just dated books, but everything keeps me updated. And yeah, I listen a lot to young people, and I behave with a lot of respect for them, and I expect the same because what we have in terms of experience, they cannot match. And
Yeah.
the good thing is, I think compared to our generation, a lot of these guys are far more disciplined. They don't have ragging and smoking on campus, and which is lesser these days. I think so. From what I see them far more focused. Competition is more intense. So and even when we train, I steer away from the traditional training programs. I use
Yeah.
the net. I use, for example, let's take housekeeping. You're training in housekeeping. A lot of youngsters have joined you. So I tell the trainer first to go to, suppose you're a luxury brand, suppose it's a Sofitel. I ask the trainer to show them clips of Sofitels around the world, or Fairmonts, or Mandarin Orientals, etc., so that they see the world. Not all of them can travel,
Yeah,
So I use technology to, give them value addition. I ensure that they do courses, I do whatever, and give them that value addition. And I treat them on equal key as such. And that's worked for me. So yeah.
yeah.
But I maintain I'm
Oh,
a perennial with
I mean,
perennial, so that's that.
Sharmila asks you a simple question.
I hope,
How easy is it to
yeah.
remain equally cheerful and well dressed till midnight? It's a totally different category.
First of all, I've very rarely worked till midnight, even in the hotel. Only if there's a VIP coming or I don't believe that the general manager should be breathing down everybody's note till midnight. Then you're a bad GM. Okay. The general manager's job, after you reach a certain level, you back off at a time till 7:30, 8 o'clock at the most 8:30 because then the team at night takes over. You empower them, you do whatever. Yeah. So I believe that everybody. I don't believe in micromanaging. I did micromanaging once upon a time and I suffered. I burned my fingers. Okay. The moment you leave things to people, so people working during the day do what they have to. At night they do what. Yes, obviously, there's a Richard Branson landing at 3. I would be there, or my big boss coming in. I'd be stupid not to be there. And VIP guests. Now, what happens? Many times VIP guests at midnight also don't expect to be met by the head of the hotel. You meet them at breakfast the next day,
Yeah.
whatever. They also want their space because they're checking in straight away. Well dressed and staying fresh. I think, yeah, whenever I would live on campus in a hotel, I in between would, at about 5, I'd break off, go for a walk, some exercise, have a shower, meditate, and come back. Meditation is something which I've been doing all my life, transcendental meditation that helps me, and it, helps me stay
Transcendental
fresh.
meditation by?
So,
Meditation by?
Maharishi Mahesh Yogi's format.
Maj. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Mahesh Yogi.
yeah, so I've been doing this. I had learned this at the Oberoi group when I was head of sales of the Oberoi New Delhi many moons ago, and I have actually followed this throughout. It's 20 minutes in the morning, 20 in the evening, and I do that till now. For I've been doing it for 20 plus years. That's benefited me tremendously. Helped me focus on work, physically, you name it, cholesterol, whatever. More than anything is how do I explain this? I'm an archer. I used to do a lot of archery. So the philosophy of archery is very simple. When you pull the bow and you pull the string deep down, it's a deep state of rest. And that's when you
Yeah.
release the arrow and you function perfectly on a day-to-day basis. You hit your targets, you do whatever. So that's the best way to explain meditation, that deep state of rest. So I've been doing that, and it's really helped me in everything I've done. You know, yeah,
Martin is
that
asking you,
answers the
what's the
question.
most challenging demand from a guest you faced?
Oh, I have faced a lot of demands. Let me think. Yeah, there are guests who would want something, say, a particular type of food which is not on the menu at midnight. What I can think of. It's how you deal with it. There are many instances. If I go back, I can chronicle, stuff I face. So it's how you explain it to the person that the reason why it's not on your menu because it's not available, it's not fresh. We don't like keeping things like this in the refrigerator. When it's cooked, it doesn't come out well. So you normally speak the truth. I don't believe in lying to a guest. You speak the truth and be reasonable. And there's something I always believe in a philosophy which Ritz-Carlton has that we are ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. And I don't tolerate nonsense from badly behaved guests. There are guests who have been very badly behaved. I've given it back to them with respect, of course. They put very adverse TripAdvisor comments. I've fixed it there. So yeah. So challenges can be taken, but I also tell my staff try and accomplish what they want as much as you can. Because I also believe that a guest is by and large always right. And using the word by and large, I never say a guest is always right. By and large, always right. And try and do what you can, which is within your power and thing, which is within the philosophy and brand standards of the hotel. So yeah. So
Yeah.
I find it
So,
difficult to
Biswajit,
articulate.
yeah.
Sorry.
How old were you in this photo?
Oh boy. Okay. This was my little pup Tiger when we lived in Indira Nagar. About 5.5, 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, at this, as you grew up, I mean, what was it that you wanted to become? I mean, did your life change completely from what you anticipated it to be, and then what really happened?
Yeah. I see. For some reason, I wanted to be a pilot, an Air Force pilot. Okay. And
Okay.
I was into martial arts. I was training people in martial arts. I got my black belt and stuff like this. And then eventually, a friend of mine, yeah, I was no good at mathematics. Surprisingly, I was very good at accounting and finance, but mathematics where algebra came in. So being an Air Force pilot was out. You need to be good in mathematics. So a friend of mine said that the Taj those days, the Taj residency in NG Road, which is Vivanta now, were wanting management trainees. He said they're advertising. He was in the reception, so a classmate of mine was working there, so I just applied and I got in. And the first day they picked me up and put me in this restaurant cash and to cut vegetables, and I almost left the industry in 10 days, but I persisted, and there was no looking back post that. Yeah, so it was there was no really thought process and such, and I did not do a catering course that time. Later on, Captain Naya very kindly personally sponsored me to go to Cornell. Leela spent a lot. I did a very advanced general manager's program there, and yeah, so my study was all commerce related. I did my post graduation in commerce, and then I was doing my company secretaryship while working. So I was looking elsewhere. I did something, but I really enjoyed hospitality, and I began enjoying sales and marketing in hospitality. So that I moved into that stream, and then back into operations. So I've been a jack of all trades actually.
As you speak, Vishwajit, I just ask you some questions that the viewers are asking. So please don't mind that. I come back
Sure,
to the same question after
not
that.
at all,
Yeah.
not at
Nisha
all.
Thomas is
Yeah.
asking Diva tantrums and demands. You may have come across such guests.
Oh, plenty. I came across a lot of guests after the pandemic. They came back, and we were all struggling. All hotels dropped their rates, and we had these staycations. And a lot of these guests had never used five-star hotels before. They came in, they were demanding, they were unreasonable. They're the guests, they're sort of guests who wouldn't even want to queue up in the morning breakfast. They wanted to get it there. They wanted room service. We were working with skeletal staff. We could not
Yeah.
deliver,
Yeah.
and so a lot of tantrums, people who were unreasonable. So it's the same thing which I was mentioning that we are ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. So when people don't behave in a civil manner, obviously guests are our bread and butter. We needed them. I never let my colleagues or I ever forget that. We were never insulted or we never rude to guests. But yeah, we explained to them that look, this is not the way it is. And you'll be surprised. Almost 80 to 90%, I'd say 90 to 95% of guests later understood. It's how you communicate and how you explain things in a transparent and humble fashion. Yeah, you have the odd 5% who would never understand. That's in life also. So sometimes you need to let go there.
So Karthik is asking you, do Indians throw more tantrums? Indians do have a bad reputation abroad.
Yes, Karthik, that was the case in the past, but that's altered. A lot of Indians now are traveling, they are savvy, especially your generation, younger people. Someone like you, I can assure you, will never throw a tantrum, and that's the hope. Maybe in our generation, guys were like that, because they weren't well travelers. Today, Indians travel, and they're far more. I think there was a lot of polish you guys have had over the thing, so it's lesser and lesser. Today, Indians are as good, if not better, than a lot of global travelers, and they understand more. They are empathetic. So the hoteliers now have it much easier than we guys had it then.
Yeah. Do tell us also, Bishwajit, about how you met your wife. So and how you ended up marrying her.
Oh yeah, this was again a hotel situation. So my wife and I, there was a Goan food promotion at the Taj West End when I was in sales at Taj West End many years ago, and we had invited a gentleman from Philips, who was the head
Yeah.
of Philips here. He and his wife, him and son were coming, and they brought my in-laws along and their daughters. So they knew they wanted to see me. My wife and I had no idea. So they came for that function. Initially, I cribbed and told my boss, we've organized a table. It's a very busy thing. Table for three, and now that gentleman wants a table for, four more. She said, "Look, Phillips is important to come." So that's how we met, and without us knowing, we sort of hit it off. And yeah, so that's how we met at the Taj restaurant many moons ago. Then, of course, she keeps saying that I proposed, I said you proposed, so we always, argue till
Were
now.
you very
But yeah, I think
similar
we
in
both
nature?
liked it.
Were you very similar in nature?
No, we're quite contrasting.
Which is what happens in most cases, I guess.
It's like a yin yang. Yes, yes, kids and stuff like that. That is beyond me. So I've looked at the work front, and they've towed the line. They've traveled all over with me. The kids have done 11 schools. So and yeah, I could do with a lot
Yeah.
involved
There's a
with
question
being
from Martin.
able
Do
to handle what we did.
rise of
I was not in
homestays,
hand.
yeah, and Airbnb affect the hotel
Yeah.
industry? Martin is asking you, do the rise of homestays and
Uh,
Airbnb
yeah.
affect the hotel industry?
Got it. Martin, you're absolutely right. Even in Accor, our chairman, Sebastian Bazin, would say the fear is from homestays and Airbnb. Airbnb are the real competitors to hotels because the sheer size and scale and flexibility, like if you have a good home in the heart of Bangalore and you put it in Airbnb or in Kerala, a lot of people would prefer that. We have used Airbnb in Madrid and Paris, and they're great offerings at a better price. You have your flexibility, and Airbnb, you don't even know when it creeps up on you. With your competitors, yeah, you have a Hilton there, a Marriott there, a Taj there, Oberoi there, you know what each other is up to. But Airbnb, you have no clue. Homestays, you have no clue. So if you look at the market share, it's huge. So even the Taj has now ventured into homestays that are under a particular brand, and yeah, you're absolutely right. They are huge competition, and it's a segment which hoteliers need to be wary of in the future.
So Karthik is asking you, do the star hotels are equally relevant now than they were earlier? Earlier, they were a sign of sophistication and luxury. Now they're more of about comfort and elegance.
Okay, now luxury means different things to different people. My definition of luxury, which I heard somewhere once upon a time, was you can do what you do when you please. It's luxury. Okay, so for somebody go, going, I can just get up now, go to the Himalayas and sit and not do anything and be happy. That's luxury. For me, these star hotels, irrespective of their star, there are certain deliverables. If you look at the Accor table, you have an Ibis, you have a Novotel, you have Mercure, going right up to Sofitel, Fairmont, and Raffles. Each has a brand promise. Okay. Uh, Now again, so main thing is cleanliness, a good room, focus, good food, empathy, care. That has to come from every brand under whichever umbrella it is. And luxury is very personal. Somebody might like a star hotel with a very modern setting, contemporary. Others might like traditional, like a club-like atmosphere, rich decor. So it's a lot of GMs will tell you that all hotels which are classified, or CEOs will tell you under five-star and five-star deluxe are luxury. Fine, they're luxury. It's like your luxury cars. Luxury commands more premium. It's all marketing at the end of the day. How different can a car be? A BMW or a Jaguar thing, a Toyota, and the non-luxury cars are, yeah, equally good. The others have that look and feel. That's why you pay a premium when you go for servicing for the luxury cars. You pay a bomb through your nose. So there are hotels which are supposedly 3 star or 2 star have dominated the city with the number one TripAdvisor rating. It's the people, the service delivery, the empathy, the focus, the customization. You can do it under whatever brand. Okay, so that's my take on it.
Yeah. Martin is asking you, how important is social media influences to hotels?
Very important because today, whatever brand you are, whatever you have to be on social media, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Facebook, whether it's LinkedIn, tweeting. So a combo of these, but of course, it's got to be done properly. You need to know your demographics and where you need to zone in as such because there's money spent in social media. So otherwise, the repetition as such. So and again, there should not be too much. It
Yeah,
should be selective. So you've got a food promotion, you put it on Instagram to target a particular audience, you put it on Facebook to target a older audience, chaps like me who are on Facebook, So it is extremely important. But how judiciously it's used, and it's always better to learn from professionals before embarking yourself because you don't want to, appear as
yeah,
inconsistent or incoherent or lackluster.
yeah. True Indian, I think Biswajit has also already answered this. But anyway, let me just ask you this question, Biswajit. It's from True Indian. He says Indians also have become brand
Hmm.
conscious, feel exclusive, ready to splurge and pay a price for private, isn't it? Though Corona would have hit the sector.
I think your name says it all, true Indian, whatever you named yourself. Because you're absolutely right. Because Indians are brand conscious, they are aware, they are as good as anybody in the world. You have so many Indian CEOs across the globe, and I'm very proud to be an Indian more so today, because yeah. So sorry, what was the last bit? Though Corona have has yeah,
Yeah,
they are
and
ready to
though
splurge and
Corona would have,
pay a price.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So they're ready to pay and but one thing I've noticed with most Indians is they spend money, but they don't waste money by and large, because they all the generations till now know the value of money and how difficult it is to earn. It's so I don't see them splurge, but they ask for value for money. But you're right. Otherwise, Indians understand all segments, luxury, quality. They're second to none. Otherwise, they wouldn't be leading so many companies. Latest is
Ah,
a lady
yeah.
leading the ad world in particular. Yeah.
So Martin is asking, how has Marriott grown so fast in India with so many hotels?
Simple answer. There was when Marriott acquired Starwood. There were a lot of Starwood hotels here.
Yeah.
When they acquired, obviously they doubled their inventory versus this thing, other foreign chains like Accor, etc. But to give Marriott credit, they're very focused. They globally, although they're an American brand, but they've been across the globe and on every continent, every country, right from a Courtyard Marriott going up to a Ritz Carlton. So they I have a lot of friends in Marriott, and like their big boss, Craig Smith, is constantly on social media. If you post something and you think he answers you, so there's a lot of humility in Marriott. I see. I have a lot of friends handling Ritz Carltons and JWs, etc. So I've never worked for Marriott. I haven't had the privilege, but it's a company I have great respect for. But yeah, with the global acquisition of Starwood, straight away catapulted its inventory to another space.
So Rajiv is asking you, I think it's very similar. How has the hospitality sector revived post COVID? Your views?
Yeah, what I mentioned earlier, it is reviving.
Yeah,
A lot of lessons learned, a lot of a lot more empathy. Sectors have changed in business segments. Less corporates traveling. It's more, conferences are coming back. Weddings came back. Holidays, resorts began doing well because people wanted to holiday. They were cooped up, you know. So they are reviving. But yeah, the hospitality sector has faced a lot of attrition. People left, and so it is difficult now for them to uh, maintain the staffing levels as it was.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a changed world, but it's improving drastically.
Tell us about your meeting with Dalai Lama, Biswajit.
I guess that was my most privileged moment. The Dalai Lama came to the Leela Mumbai, and when I was general manager there, and the Captain Nair, my chairman, and Dalai Lama were personal friends, and I was amazed to see the warmth in which. So the Leela Mumbai has this huge drive, and a lot of disciples of Dalai Lama were sitting there, the Tibetans, and we received him. He came up, and There was such divinity, such love, such warmth. I could feel the radiation. And then when I was escorting him in the elevator right up to his room on the top floor, he held my hand. And it's a moment I'll never forget. I could feel that feeling, And he said a few kind words and then went up. So for me, that picture and the time zone is immortalized in my systems of mind. So I've also met Nelson Mandela at the Oberoi in Delhi when I was
Yeah,
head of sales. Those days,
yeah.
unfortunately, there were no smartphones, so there's no picture. But I spent one-on-one with him for almost 10, 15 minutes, and it was a fabulous moment. Sri Ravi Shankar, twice I've met him. So I've been very privileged meeting, and then, of course, President Kalam. So very, very grateful to the industry for, in this lifetime, to even get close to these people.
So Nisha is asking you, do you have a copy of the Bhagavad Gita or any other spiritual book in each room like the olden days?
I think there's no olden days there. Here you see a book on Sai Baba right here, Shirdi Baba. I believe in him. I have a little. I read the Bhagavad Gita. I have a copy by Swami Chinmayananda. He's a great orator. But my gateway to spirituality is Sai Baba because he is a fakir. He has no religion and his instructions are
And I
simple.
think see, this figure does come to everybody in different ways, like in dreams or in ash falling. So I think a lot of people have
Yes,
experienced his presence.
yes, precisely. And
Uh,
that's what I
yeah,
like about it. I have this little flipper which gives a saying every day, like September 19th
yeah.
says, the donor sows the seeds only to reap a rich harvest in the future. It's talking about as you do and so you reap. So I find it very difficult to imagine God without, as an, entity which cannot be seen. So I use him as a gateway.
Yeah.
And
See,
yeah, for
strangely
me,
for
I
me,
don't believe in
I'm a
religion
sort
at
of
all.
a, yeah, I'm a sort of a Shiva Bhakt. So for me, it's all about Shiva.
Okay.
And I see a lot of dreams and all that.
Yes.
In one of the dreams, it was all about Shiva. And then the last figure that came was Sai Baba. So I found that really very strange. It's the
Wow.
same
Okay.
Sai Baba that you showed just now.
Yeah. I see
So,
Shiva,
yes,
the painting. I think that's your painting, right? Just behind you. Yeah.
yes,
Shiva.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
So the last picture
And
was him. So
Shiva.
there's this connection. Yeah, you were saying?
Yes. Yes. And I believe in what Shiva stands for and Baba. The ash which you were talking
Yes,
about. It is as simple as Islam, even in Christianity, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, and that putting
yes,
up the ash shows you how transitory the world is.
yes.
And not to have that attachment. So yeah, yeah. So spirituality is a very important part of my existence, and my gateway to God is Shirdi Sai Baba.
Has Zomato and Swiggy helped the luxury hotel business?
During the pandemic, yes, a lot because we were dependent on home deliveries, and these are great platforms which helped us a lot. Some luxury hotels chose not to use them. Uh, Selectively, like at the Oberoi Grand, we did not. We preferred delivering to homes ourselves because we were on a smaller scale. We do things so our own cars would deliver. But in large hotels like Pullman, Novotel, etc., we needed them. We couldn't deliver to. So it really helped us. Yes, it did. And of course, a lot of hotels then went into cloud kitchens. That's the new thing. And obviously, then we had to use Swiggy, and it's a simple marketing technique because the moment you put the hotel's name, people don't buy. They think it's expensive, taxes, blah, blah. So you price the same, you do the same items in a cloud kitchen, and you sell through these platforms.
Bishwajit, the challenge when you're in a hotel industry is that, see, it's not the challenge of having repeat guests, but the challenge of getting new guests. How did you make that possible? What sort of a business model did you build where a lot more new guests came into your hotels?
This is a very interesting question you've asked me, and it's something which I've been very aware of and I've addressed all my life in my career. Uh, I read somewhere before I began my career that 30% of your guests come from word of mouth. Okay? If you're good, your service is good.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the word of mouth spreads. And if you're bad, word of mouth is both ways. Okay. So a lot of guests, especially say, let's look at Microsoft. There's so many people traveling. If out of six, seven executives who would travel use your hotel, if two are satisfied, they will tell the other. They influence the other. So your focus on these guests, recognition, service, delivery, food, all that matters. Therefore, TripAdvisor is very important from my point of view. Genuine reviews on a TripAdvisor. If you're ranking, the higher you rank, the better you perform as such, whether ranking on booking.com or whatever. So it's quality, quality, and quality is what I believe. Eh, Even Rai Bahadur would say, the founder of Yoga Rai Group, whom I've had the privilege of meeting in my lifetime on two occasions when Yoga Rai Bangalore was launched. He would say, you focus and do on your work, profits would come automatically. It's a simple but powerful statement which prevails even now. Captain I would
Yeah,
say the same thing.
absolutely.
And even Mr. PRS Oberoi would say. So at the end of the day, yes, profits and all this would come, but everything is guest focused and doing things in a genuine way. I believe
Yeah,
in that, genuine. The guest can also see if you're not genuine. So yeah. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's
yeah,
the
yeah.
model I
That's
have adopted. Then
yeah.
obviously you got to be
I
clued on
think
with
I think Biswajit, in every field that matters.
yes, yes, absolutely. But of course, within today's world and competition, you're measured by your revenue per available room, how you stack up
Exactly.
against competitors.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you've got to be savvy on all your business channels, whether it's the OTAs, whether it's Amadeus, Sabre. You've got to be completely clued on with your business channels. You just can't do quality and not market your product. It has to be a
yeah.
combination of both
Absolutely.
sales teams.
Is it a challenge to retain a good chef as people come for the taste of food?
You asked the best question of the evening. I have always believed, and this has been taught to me by Camellia Punjabi, who was among the founders of Taj. She always told us that get the best chefs, they will do the best food, the locals will come in, your hotel resonates, and they will give you the room nights also. And this is what I followed. The moment I entered, I took over a hotel, I look at chefs, like, for example, the Jiran restaurant at Sofitel. I got one of the best chefs from one of my previous companies, and that restaurant resonated. It would do crores of business, and people would come because of that. And a lot of these people in and around would give us room business. They would entertain there. So for me, I'd handle chefs with kid gloves. Everybody used to, but chefs are really important. I'd bring international chefs in for promotions with art. The Sofitel alone, I must have brought in 40 international chefs throughout my career there, in that span of close to 5.5, 6 years. So I think this was the best question of the evening for me. Yeah, I may be a foodie. I like my food, but I do it in moderation. But the chefs are very, very important. Retaining them, I'd do anything to retain a good chef. But if a chef was not good enough, I'd let go.
Do you have middle class Indians moving towards luxury or comfort?
Yes, this it's a very thin line now, middle class, because people have disposable income, people in technology. So you can't really classify Indians more. How do you classify? Is it by the wealth or what you have in your bank or what your potential to earn? So yeah, I'd rather on age groups. So there are people using luxury hotels, the people using as I mentioned earlier, they use the right brand which suits their purpose at that point of time. There are people who are very senior executive, but they use a mid-scale brand because of convenience or location or because somebody's service is very good. They understand their food and beverage and entertainment needs. So yeah, there are people who go on holidays, they save money and go to luxury hotels to experience it. There are others who have a lot of money but would go to club to holiday. So again, luxury is very personal. So all my answers
I
are
remember,
little cryptic, but
yeah, yeah. I
yeah.
remember
Sorry, what were you
Biswajit,
saying?
because we used to travel a lot when we were in Dubai because of our magazine, and some of the experiences that certain hotels would provide were
Hmm.
really unrivaled. For example, they would if a couple were to arrive, they would take them to some part of the forest and have a table for two, a very romantic honeymoon like feeling that they would create with
Yes, yes, yes.
waterfall and all that. So, what were the challenges that you also provided in your some of your hotels, which were different from the other hotels?
You know, I we this is something very important you brought up because this is essential, especially for resorts. So, for example, at the Leela Kovalam, which is a stunning hotel. We had that deck overlooking at the club, overlooking the sea. So there, for a couple, we do a very special dinner. Okay, they might want something very localized. So they might want a sadhya for two people at night. Okay, we do it.
Yeah.
It will be done with such. We get specialists. We do whatever, or it could be a complete champagne experience, right? Just candlelight dinner on the sea. Anything would somebody would want to go to a picnic somewhere. Even in city hotels, which find spots whereby we make people feel special. So I think that comes from within. It comes from the philosophy of the hotel to make people feel special. Someone's birthday, just leaving little cake in the room, all that everybody does. But what resonates is when you genuinely wish the person. You write a handwritten card from the general manager, one phone call or trying to meet the guest, or you just give a nice dessert. You do something which really, if you do a little research and find out what the guest likes in terms of food or color or whatever. So that little customization goes a long way.
So Meera is asking you, disparaging comments on social media can do a lot of damage. How does management deal with that?
There is an old saying, dogs bark but camels pass. I've had a lot of disparaging comments. I don't clash with them. You just let it be, it dies out. And yep, because
I
once
must
the
tell you, friends.
moment you go head on, it
Uh,
just continues.
yeah. Yeah, I must tell you, friends, about a very lovely experience that Biswajit, and I worked on when he was in the Move and Pick Bangalore, and see, I wanted to have a an art show, and he was the general manager of Move and Pick in Bangalore, and they had this special place where they had only the display of art. Like it was like a mezzanine floor, and he was also thinking of ways on how to, sort of showcase it to the guests. And we worked on this wonderful idea that he had, and we had a small dance show and everything, related with the art experience. And that's when I found out that, see, in Vishwajit, there's a lot of other, aspects to his character other than just being a, hotel general manager or, more of a corporate person. So, Vishwajit, tell us a little bit about what you do when you're not working. How you relax.
Sure. Talking of art, my father was a very eminent painter. I don't know if I've told you this. He was in the league of Jatin Das and all that, Jatin Chak, but his style was surrealistic art. He must have done about 25, 30 paintings. One with Parliament of India, Parliament of Japan. He won the President's Gold Medal
What was his name, Vishwajit?
in Florida, Tampa. He won the Kitin Chakravorthy. So, but then
Yeah, yeah.
he later on joined the government of India's development commissioner and then with the UN. So he didn't paint as much, although we tell him. But then he had cancer and he passed away when I was in my early 20s. But and if you look at our house those days, he would collect art from all over wherever he traveled. It was like a little museum besides his painting. So all of us at home have had this inclination to art. So I was very happy when I met you and I saw what you did, and I was delighted to do that exhibition and that stuff. So in my leisure, as I told you, I'm a generalist. I do a lot in my 24 hours. So, and I don't believe in people saying you don't have time. You can make time for everything. So when I get up, of course, I do my transcendental meditation and I read about 4 to 5 books at a time. It could be fiction, biography, a magazine. So there are bookmarks, but I flip between. So one of my favorite books is a book I picked up from Kenya on African animals. It is a thick book with pictures of the animals, the bone structure, where they come. So every day I could pick up one and read on a particular variety of elephant or a squirrel. That really makes me think in the morning. Then I read some philosophy. At the moment, I'm reading a book called The Courage to Be Disliked. It's by two Japanese authors. It's a philosopher and a student speaking, and a youth speaking rather. So I read a lot. I listen to jazz. When I'm walking, I sometimes listen to various apps like Economist, stuff like that. I used to be a lot into archery in Mumbai, but then I hurt myself. I broke my arm, and there's a rod, etc. So I'm not able to do that now. I will resume at some point. So now I go into the swimming pool in the afternoon sometime when I have time. So I do multiple things, either music,
Yeah.
reading, appreciation. So yeah, so there's no one single thing.
Tell us about your present job, and what all it entails.
Yeah, yeah, it's very exciting. So I've known this gentleman, Ashwin Gilani, for years. AGP Production, it's a niche business where he's a producer of content. He began with live plays and musicals, etc. And I did a lot with him. So when I was at Movenpick, he had brought Veevdas. He had brought The Mentalist. So I worked with him in Leela, many times in Sofitel, Beatboxers, etc. He's quite a genius in the way he works. And he's being my friend. He told me long back, hang up your suit and join me, which I did not because I was busy with hotels. Now that I'm done and I work for Hotelier also. I head them in the south. So whenever there are projects, I did one for Four Seasons and for Embassy Builders, and I also consult for a brewery guys. But Ashwin, it's a new world for me. So it's a platform whereby we bring artists, etc. And he's connected with Bollywood, Hollywood. So
Yeah.
we can suppose we want to bring a comedian for the YPO. We can bring this comedian all over India or abroad.
Yeah.
We can bring a Harvard speaker. We can bring art. Suppose we tell you, Meena, take your art with us, and we will do exhibitions in Singapore, South Africa, this, that, and throw in whatever. So it's plays, it's art, it's music, it's whatever. So he creates these platforms, and he's very
Yeah.
respected. He is he does very high quality stuff, but he does not do it. So we have a team of very 8 odd people now. We'll be scaling it up. And then during the pandemic, he went a lot into the virtual space, whereby he
Yeah.
does hybrid. He does virtual. He's also moved a bit into the gaming space, so he's very abreast of technology. So my job is to drive business for him. So he is
Okay.
very well connected. So am I because of for the virtue of having worked in Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, and then Kolkata twice over. So it's an interesting thing. So we are also talking to investors, raising money. It's tremendous learning for me at this stage, and I'm yet connected to hospitality clubs, etc. So yeah, so I'm learning a lot, and I work with a lot of
So you're not
youngsters,
retired
which teaches
exactly.
me.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I will retire. I keep doing something or the other, which just keeps me occupied. As long
Yeah.
as my health permits and Baba permits.
I believe you were very attached to your mother as well.
I was, yeah, and it's very unfortunate that I saw her a couple of weeks before her demise when I come to Bangalore. Then she passed away during the lockdown, and I couldn't come for her funeral or even to immerse her ashes. So that is a huge regret. But she is always with me, she guides me, and a lot of what I am is because I lost my father when we were quite young. I was in my early 20s, as I mentioned. My brother was in his late teens. So she's the one who literally saw us through a lot.
Yeah. Great.
So yeah, I miss her, but she's there, always blessing us.
Yeah. Biswajit, on a last question. See, but you say that you meditate twice a day. Do you
Yeah,
believe that? Because I also meditate, but I usually do it for once a day. Now, do you believe that meditation, makes you not only stronger but also brings you good luck?
I think so too. I'll tell you why. Because if you look at it scientifically, it increases your focus. Okay, I gave you the parable of the bow string being drawn, that deep breath. So when you get focused, you do then obviously when I'm in meditation, off late I was reading that I meditate a lot with gratitude, and then as I end the meditation, transcendental meditation is repeating a mantra, even if the thoughts come. When the thoughts
Yeah,
come,
I know
then you
that.
repeat the mantra, and then so I end up with focus on God, asking for what I want, and I think if you look at the scientific explanation, because you're focused, you're rested, you perform better, you have a better outlook, and automatically you do well. So you can call that luck or you can call that a scientific thing.
I'll tell
I'll
you.
go with
See, why
both.
I'm asking, yeah, why I'm asking the question is because, the days that I have very good meditation, something, good really comes. And
Right.
then the days I'm
Yes.
not able to meditate much, I feel a little disappointed and nothing really happens that day. So I
Yes.
just try to
So
put this together.
no, you're right. See, good meditation also leads to vibrations. You know,
Yes.
apparently in transcendental meditation, I remember my instructor telling us that in New York, when a lot of people did meditation continuously for a week at the same time, when they did mass meditation, everything turned better. The vibrations were good. There was less crime. There were less issues. I guess that stillness, the positivity, the vibration which arises affects the atmosphere. It's like the butterfly effect, when you touch and this is my funny
Yeah.
explanation or take on it, but
Yeah.
I think I'm making sense.
Yeah. In fact, viewers, what I'd like to say about Biswajit is that, see, he's not only a thorough professional, and wherever he's gone, he's made a name for himself. He's won awards, and I have experienced hospitality under him, and I've seen him as a brilliant person. And even now, though he says that he's semi-retired, I see him working as much. And I wish we had more people like Biswajit, whose passion for their work, and in people. See, because hospitality is all about people and places, and if more people had this kind of passion, we would have a easier place to live in, because half the time we're dealing with bloated egos, people who do not want other people to become successful. So here's a
Yeah,
man who partners with everybody, right from a small butler to the top, the same sort of reverence. So it's been a pleasure, Biswajit, talking to you, and all the more for being a friend, because
absolutely.
relationships change, over the years. And this is a friendship that,
Yes,
we've
yes,
been having for so many years.
absolutely. No, I cherish it a lot, and thank you so much for those kind words. I feel so grateful coming from you, and I think it's a mutual admiration club. I've always admired you as an artist, as a person, as a philosopher, and I'm very happy that we're all in Bangalore now, and we can catch up anytime. And thank you to the viewers for listening in and giving us that time, and thank you for your time, Meena. I look forward to catching up in person soon. As soon as I came back to Bangalore
So, yeah,
all these years,
wishing you all the
more
best,
about
Biswajit, in your venture.
thank you. Wish you all the best
Yeah,
too. Thank
and
you.
I'm hoping to
Thank you
also
so much.
associate with it,
Very
because
grateful, all of
I
you.
think we have a lot of things in common, and we're doing a lot of things that are artistic as well. So we
Absolutely.
will surely,
Yes.
associate with you and try to take it to another level.
We'll be very grateful. I think to have someone like you to associate with will give us a lot of success and gratitude.
And thank you, Biswajit,
Thank
for
you.
answering some of the questions as well.
No, no, I enjoyed it thoroughly. Thank you. Actually.
Good night.
All right. Good night.